Before I get started this evening, I want to welcome everybody for coming. Okay. We had a town hall meeting last week where we had opportunity for our citizens to be able to communicate and give us their feelings regarding mask mandate or even vaccine issues. But before I get started, I want to make sure that the city of Sweet Home is covered based on notice by mandate of the governor. And I have to make sure that everybody's aware of this because as a council, we have to follow the mandate of the city. The city's been placed on by the governor. So therefore, I'm letting you know we have an order in place from the governor basically stating that all people that enter this city hall are to wear masks. Okay. Now, their signs have been posted and we have acknowledged that. If you choose not to wear a mask, that is on you. That is your choice. We are not going to be enforcing anything other than we've done our due diligence of letting citizens know that we have met the state mandate by the governor. It says no means to whether we're for or against. It's just letting you know that we as a governing body of City of Sweet Home, we have to let you know the acknowledgement from the governor so that you're aware of that. Correct. There is free masks in the back if anybody would like to put one on. Okay. That said, I will go ahead and ask for everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Julie.
Mayor Mahler,
Present.
Councilor Gerson, Councilor Trask,
Present.
Councilor Gorley, Councilor Coleman, Councilor Sanchez, here, Councilor Richards.
Let the record show we have 6 present with 1 non-present. Councilor Coleman had a family matter to attend this evening. So that said, I'd ask for approval for absence.
Second.
Motion second by roll call, please.
Councilor Gerson, Councilor Trask,
Yes.
Councilor Gorley, Councilor Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilor Richards, Mayor Mahler.
Yes. Let the record show are 6 ayes with no nays. Approval of Councilor Coleman's. So show 6 present and 1 absent. Before I get started, I'm going to read a meeting participation notice. Meeting instructions for online participation in public meetings. Thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening. For members of the public who would like to take part in tonight's meeting virtually, we have some instruction to help in case you are new to using Microsoft Teams. To take part, you will need to locate the chat bubble icon to participate in the meeting online. Icon indicated with a yellow arrow on your screen now may be in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, or you may need to click on the 3 dots to see an extended drop-down menu. If you wish to be recognized by the mayor to speak during the meeting, please choose the bubble icon to enter the meeting chat. It will appear on the right-hand side of your screen. In the chat, enter your address, phone number, followed by the topic you wish to discuss with the council. If you have signed in, you may be called upon to speak at any point during the meeting. You probably during the agenda item that you have entered to speak about. You can choose a hand icon also located in the upper right-hand corner to indicate your desire to speak and equivalent to raising your hand. The mayor, the acting chairperson, or moderator will ask you to speak at the appropriate time. We'll give everyone who may wish to speak tonight a few minutes right now to enter their name, address, phone number, and topic they'd like to address the council. In the interest of time, speakers should not repeat the points of the previous speaker. Instead, state you agree with the point or disagree with the point. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes. Any extension of that time is at the sole discretion of the mayor or the meeting chairperson per council rules. Those joining by phone will be noted by the moderator for the mayor chairperson and called upon to speak at the appropriate time. The fact the meeting is online does not excuse poor behavior, and the mayor does retain the right to have people removed from the meeting as stated by council rules. Okay, we are going to one other point of topic this evening before we move forward. The city manager's asked that we kind of change up things a little bit more for when it comes to council agenda items, that we're going to follow a little bit more of the Robert's Rules of Order. And each counselor should have, if they have not received yet, kind of a little bit of an idea on how to address each topic that comes before this council. That said, we'll move on to consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion and second by roll call, please.
Counselor Trask, Counselor Gorley, Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Aye.
Mayor Muller,
Aye.
Counselor Gerson.
Let the record show we have 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 absent. Approval of consent agenda. Before I get into recognition of visitors, hearing petitions, at this time, following the rules of the Robert Rules of Order, we will move down to third reading of ordinance bills.
Ordinance Bill number 6 for 2021, ordinance number 1298, an ordinance amending the official zoning map.
Based on the process, looking for a motion to be made.
Second that.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Counselor Gorley, Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Aye.
Mayor Muller,
Aye.
Counselor Gerson, Counselor Trask.
That said, all 6 ayes, nays with 1 absent. Approval of ordinance number 6 for 2021, ordinance number 1298, the title one. At this time, we'll now move back up to recognition of visitors and hearing the petitions. Those that signed in, I'll be the only ones allowing to talk this evening. So at this time, any recognition of visitors or want the hearing to be heard, please come forth with name and address.
Mr. Mayor, if I could be recognized, please. Might I suggest that we have this time period for non-agenda items,
Okay,
if that would make sense?
for recognition of petitions.
Yeah. So just so people who aren't familiar with the process would understand, if they're speaking to an agenda item, they might have that opportunity during that time of the meeting.
Okay, I can move that forward. Anybody who'd like to come forth to be heard that's on the agenda item?
Can't understand you or hear you.
You can only talk so loud. Anyway, can you hear me no better now? I'll take this thing off. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Any agenda item that anybody would like to talk for?
Non-agenda.
Or non-agenda?
Non-agenda.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
My apologies. Kind of going out of order and norm here.
Yeah.
Any non-agenda items would like to come forth, be heard, please come forth, name and address, please.
Okay.
Name and address, please. Okay. You'll have to get a little closer here. These mics are very sensitive. Some people can hear, can't hear. So I'm sorry. Yep.
Can't hear him.
Hold up. The folks aren't hearing our mics. I'm sorry.
You guys
We
ready?
got a problem with our mics here.
How about now?
That's better.
All right. My name is Clinton Gregg. My address is 28476 Ridgeway Road of Sweet Home, Oregon. I just like to say, first of all, thank you, Universe God, for bringing us all together as one humankind to come here and speak our intellect and our intuition to better guide each other. So thank you for that opportunity. And I just got these words to say today. Where do we draw the line? When do we stand as one humankind? You see, we're all connected. One, just having our own observation. Black, white, color, religion, politics, mask, no mask. These are just differentiations. All these labels are made to make us divide. Loving yourself, the next person, nature is where humanity's true power resides. So hear me out. Look at me as another version of you. Let me speak my intuition. Let me speak my truth. We are all born free with an infinite spirit in mind. Lately, governments around the world censor those who speak and use their intellect while also issuing mandates to do what? Keep us in line? Stop right there, governments. Why is it that we are censored when people question against the mainstream narrative? The truth shouldn't ever have to be defended, yet Big Brother silences what you give. Questioning our governments are at an all-time high. Maybe it's because people are sensing wicked lies. The hospitals are full of COVID patients, yet they mandate jabs to doctors and nurses whom work through the so-called pandemic, or they have to quit. You see, something doesn't make sense. Having these doctors and nurses walk doesn't fit. Survival rate for COVID are higher than the flu. Where was the mass testing for the flu back then? Where were the masks, too? Educators and students are mandated to get the jab and to wear the mask. Parents, take your kids back from this rigged system if you're able and hire these educators at walk to tutor, and then maybe teach these kids also how to grow food, purify water, even a life trade, if I may add. Governments have gone too far, crossing all 10 sections of the Nuremberg Code. Their actions speak louder than words. We can now see it's not about COVID or mask. It's about jabbed passports. No governments can dictate humanity's birthrights. It's time to draw the line now and tell our governments no before more jabs take more lives. With unconditional love, I ask you to research, think for yourself, and if you agree, stand in these moments with love and say no. Without violence, only love, humanity can truly come together. With no one to control, we will see that these deciders will go. So don't be afraid of our actions' outcome. Everything will be okay. For our birthright freedoms and universal love will lead the way. Freedom for humanity starts now with ourselves and within our communities today. Love to all and freedom for all, always. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Okay. Next up for non-agenda items, and if anybody's coming up to speak, they spoke last week, please don't come back and repeat the same thing last week. These are for folks that weren't here last week in the town hall, because we can be here all night long. So not trying to shut things short, but just letting people know. We got a lot of people here tonight, so if you spoke last week, please do not come up. We're hearing the same thing that's been on record for what was testimony last week. So go ahead. Name and address, please.
Yes, I am Vanessa Beckler, 44237 North River Drive. I understand you have another agenda that you need to get to. I also want to let you know that the city here has a lot of agendas that we also need to get to. And I want to read something to you that I believe that your constituents are wanting you to also hear. In the matter of a resolution supporting the protection of the constitutional rights during emergencies, whereas the Constitution of the United States is a cornerstone of our government and represents American values, and whereas the Constitution of Oregon is the cornerstone of our state government and represents a combination of American and Oregon values, and whereas the Constitution whereas local elected officials swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Oregon, as I see it is on the wall, and I love the Constitution, and I feel so many are getting away from it. Whereas local elected officials endeavors to follow state laws and regulations and local ordinances and regulations which are within the boundaries of our Constitution. And whereas this is Curry County Board of Commissioners strongly believe that all provisions of the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Oregon must be upheld without exception. and that public officials should not pick and choose those provisions to be recognized and defended, and should recognize and defend all provisions. And whereas the vaccine passports, forced vaccinations, forced masks being put upon citizens does not align with the Constitution of the United States or the Constitution of the State of Oregon. Whereas since at last March 2020, Oregonians have been confronted with the effects of a national pandemic generally referred to as coronavirus. And whereas public officials throughout Oregon are charged with protecting the health of all Oregon communities, but are also charged with doing so within the constraints of our national and state constitutions. And whereas the role of government is to help and support the citizens it represents, not to control or force policies upon them. Whereas the governor of Oregon has issued a series of emergency orders, which have in certain respects exceeded the limits of the United States and Oregon Constitution, in particularly by closing businesses and schools outside of the powers authorized by the governor, and expanding the jurisdiction and power of state government agencies beyond the jurisdiction and powers authorized by state law. And whereas the governor of the state of Oregon has exercised powers which are the power of the Oregon Legislative Assembly, not the power of the executive branch, therefore delegating to the governor's powers which may not be delegated under the restrictions of the Oregon Constitution. And it is my understanding that with a lawful executive order, you need the House Majority Leader, the House Minority Leader, the Secretary of State, and the head of the legislature. So unless I'm misinformed, Governor Brown has her Secretary of State who has signed this. And so everyone is following an unlawful mandate. And so unless I'm wrong, I'm wondering why people's lives are being destroyed. And I know I'm done, but I just want to say that I believe that everyone should look into what she's actually mandating with who she's mandating it. You guys have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. Anybody else would like to come forth be heard? Non-agenda item. Do we have any online testimony or questions? Name and address and mic, please. Thank you, sir.
Oh, Theo White, Queen Street. Yeah, we just want to stop the abuse to our children, and we feel like public pressure is the only way. We hear people say they do nothing on purpose. We hear the schools say it's out of their control. Yeah, we're gonna fight for our kids. So, and I hope, I hope you understand. And I just want everyone to have one of these. Stop the abuse. A good letter to the editor, but they don't stuff like that.
Let the record show that the city council has received a document for the entire city to be able to see and read if they would choose so.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming before council. Anybody else would like to come forth be heard? Brandon, anybody online? What's that?
You have one person on the phone. I just want to give them a chance if they'd like to. There's an individual with a phone number ending in 3241. If you'd like to unmute your microphone and provide comment to the city council, now's your opportunity. I see nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Julie, anybody else? Good evening. How are you? Okay. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
My name is David Yoakum. I'm retired Public Works, Antioch, California, 24 years, 1991 to 2015. I came here to this beautiful place to retire, and I totally enjoy it. And in my years in Antioch, California, I watched that retirement town, beautiful on the river retirement town, just totally change when the city began to allow the homeless in and other Section 8 housing. That whole place completely transformed. You guys would not even feel safe there if you went through that town now. It's random shootings. And one of my jobs was to go in with the police department and clean out these camps. There's feces everywhere, buckets, poop buckets where they sit on them. Rotten clothes, things that they steal. I mean, we had big piles of things that were stolen from the neighboring areas. If you guys bring in these homeless, God bless you for wanting to help them, but know that they're going to destroy your town. You're going to have to increase the police department big time. Big time. You're going to have to charge the people more taxes. Taking that carrot from Kate Brown on that is it? No, it's not worth it. This is a beautiful place, and if you go take that carrot from her, you guys are going to destroy this beautiful place. It's going to be drunks everywhere, disorderly conducts, and rapes, and garbage everywhere. I've been there, and I watched the town degenerate that way. That's what I wanted to address, the homeless issue. So make sure you guys know what you're going into there. Anyway,
All right.
that's it for me.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, they've asked, they're going to speak on agenda items, so they're going to wait for the agenda topic.
Okay. So then we'll move on. Nothing on old business. Under new business now. Under new business, Sweet Home Sleeping Shelter proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This begins on page 8 of the council packet. You have a group that has worked pretty hard and would like to make a proposal to the council at this time. So if I could get Dr. Larry Horton and Brock Byers to come forward, please.
Good evening, Nate, please.
Good evening. My name is Brock Byers, 1420 City View Place, Albany, Oregon.
Larry Horton, 771 50th Avenue, Sweet Home, Oregon. Let's see if I can get it to our slide presentation. Oh, it's there. Thank you, whoever did that. I appreciate it. Well, good evening. I appreciate the time that you are giving us to present kind of an update on where we are with the homeless situation here in Sweet Home. My name is Larry Horton. I am part of the Health Committee, and being in that committee, I was assigned to kind of oversee a subcommittee on the homeless individuals.
I'm sorry, Larry, 1 second. Can anyone get a little closer to the mic?
Sure.
I'm having a hard time with these mics. And
You got it?
yeah, so they
Okay.
can hear you.
All right. So basically, I am in charge of a subcommittee that's been working on the homeless situation here in Sweet Home. Brock Byers is the program director for the Family Assistance and Resource Center, often called the FAC. And it will be used throughout the presentation as probably FAC. So you'll know what those initials stand for. I would like for you to notice the people that are in the right-hand corner on the screen. Those are the people that have been serving on the committee for the last 2 months. They've spent a lot of time investigating and looking into the situation here in Sweet Home and looking for possible alternatives. The last few months, we've been working with the FAC to develop a positive and workable concept to address homelessness in our community, and at the same time to find a location in which we could potentially place a facility that we are calling a sleep center, a place where the individuals that are homeless would have a place to put their heads down at night that's safe, secure, and well managed. We are here tonight asking for your support to move forward on this project, and there will be a question at the end of this presentation asking you to help us with this endeavor. So with that, let's get on with the presentation. They assured me all I had to do was push the arrow button.
You're holding it upside down.
Oh,
There we go.
thank you.
There we go.
That works much better. Thank you, Ray.
Glad I could help.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad it was a major issue, big problem. Our committee feels that only through collaboration will we be able to actually resolve part of this issue. Collaboration between the City of Sweet Home, the FAC, the county commissioners, and other service organizations that will be working with the homeless throughout this program. The program will move the homeless from the streets where they currently are into programs that address their lack of housing. A program where support services will be available to meet all of their individual client needs. So what are we asking for? We're asking to develop a low barrier sleep center, a place where our homeless can sleep in a safe and secure location, a place where our homeless can live with dignity and receive support, the support that they need to get off the streets. Why do we need this? Why do we need a sleep center? Well, basically, there's 3 main reasons. The first is there's already a growing problem in Sweet Home in regards to the numbers of homeless people. The population of our homeless is now between 40 and 50 residents. They are here all of the time. It is not residents from Lebanon. It is not residents from Corvallis or Albany. It's residents that live here in Sweet Home. Some of them have lived here all their lives. So that's the first reason to develop this, is that we need to provide for our local homeless people. The second reason is the law now requires that the homeless may either sleep on public property anywhere they wish, unless a community has a designated sleep area. This was confirmed in a case called Martin versus Boise, and has been known as the right to rest. Basically, it simply states that a community, if they do not provide a designated area, homeless people have a right to sleep on any public property upon which they wish. So that's the second reason why we feel we need to develop a sleep center. We need to develop a designated site where we can move the homeless to where they can be managed and helped. There are no low barrier accommodations in our town. A low barrier facility would be a place where we could designate that we could move the homeless, but unfortunately no site currently exists. So those are the 3 reasons that we feel that we need to move forward on developing a site. Our committee sees that there are 3 options. Option 1 is the picture on the left. Currently, our homeless individuals are allowed to sleep in our parking lots. They're allowed to sleep on our sidewalks. They're allowed to sleep in our parks. They are allowed to sleep under our bridges. They are allowed to sleep on any piece of public property they wish to sleep in or on. That's option one. We can do nothing. We can just leave it the way it is. Option two is the middle picture. That is the site that was developed last November when we needed to come up with an emergency warming center. It was held at the Nazarene Church, and needless to say, there was a lot of controversy over the way it looked, where it was located, and what was happening there. This is option two. We need to have some kind of warming center somewhere come wintertime. Do we want to duplicate what we did last winter? Do we want to repeat it? Most of us would say no. I don't think that's what we're after in Sweet Home. So the third picture actually shows a picture of a facility in Walla Walla, Washington, that has been in existence for a little over 3 years. It is a homeless site that is well managed, well taken care of, clean, many rules to keep them an orderly fashion. And as you can see, those are called Conestoga wagons. That's what they decided to use for shelters. The reason being is that they are fairly low cost, easy to build, easy to put up, easy to move. Other sites throughout different towns have used mini houses, the tiny homes, other types of sheds, structures, but these seem to be the least expensive, the quickest to put up, and very possibly what we would be looking at here in Sweet Home. Members of our homeless community and members of this council actually visited this site on August the 12th. We talked with clients that were using the facility. We talked with the manager of the site, and we spoke with the city government, the officials there. All of them said that this site was meeting their needs. The city councilors, the people that were in charge at the city basically said that their issues have declined tremendously since this facility was implemented. The manager said that he has rarely any problems with the clients. They are generally cooperative, and he on rare occasions has called the police department to help him when things got out of control. But he said that is very rare. The clients, they loved it. They felt that for the first time, people were listening to them. People were working with them. They were receiving the support services they needed. And many of them were preparing to get their own housing and to move on with their lives. A success story that I think we could duplicate here in Sweet Home. So consequently, our committee has come up with 3 goals. Goal number 1 is to provide a safe and secure housing option for our homeless. A site that is a designated site meeting all of the legal requirements of the 2 legal homeless court rulings. And now our legislators have passed Senate Bill 3115, which basically has reaffirmed the Martin Boise case. And so goal 1 would meet that without any issues. A service center would also be added to this site. At the service center, the individuals using the facility would receive a continuum of care that would meet their individual's needs, whether that be mental counseling, physical health counseling, financial counseling, educational counseling, job counseling, All of that would be available at the site. The second goal would be to develop individual client plans for the homeless to help each one of them figure out a plan as to how they can get out of being homeless, how they can make themselves productive citizens enough to move into their own housing. That's goal 2. Goal 3 would be to provide coordinated care on individualized cases, care that would cover the physical health, mental health, emotional health, financial health of these homeless individuals. Goal 3, I just did goal 3. Sorry, I didn't get my fingers clicking the way I should have. All right, Brandon, thank you. Our committee has spent months looking for a site that meets the intent of the right to rest ruling. In other words, the Martin versus Boise case. A site that can accommodate a safe, secure, clean, and well-managed low-barrier sleep center. A site that provides a sleeping alternative to the streets. A site that has 24-hour oversight. A site that can accommodate up to 40 individuals. A site that can accommodate 10 vehicles. A site that has showers, bathrooms, trash disposal, and possibly laundry facilities. A site that is close to community services. A site that is a distance from schools. A site that meets the needs of our homeless, and a site that Sweet Home could be proud of. Our committee feels that we have found such a site currently owned by Lynn County, known as the Knife Property. If you look at the picture on the screen, it looks like a culinary knife. That's why it has the name. Okay. It's located at the end of 24th Avenue, next to the Sweet Home Maintenance Facility. And at this point in time, we believe very strongly that the county is willing to negotiate the use of this property for a homeless site. The site also, I might add, has access to water, sewers, and electricity. In summary, this program provides emergency, safe, secure housing and programs that motivate clients from sleeping on the streets and into lower barrier housing. From there into transitional housing and eventually into permanent housing. This program provides a facility where the homeless and the housing challenged can access support services, a place where the homeless can find a greater sense of community, a site similar to the Walla Walla, Washington homeless site. I don't know why it keeps going off, but the agency that has helped the committee develop this program is called the Family Assistance and Resource Center Group. FAC has been working with the Lynn County homeless population for a number of years. They have earned the trust of our local homeless population through their street outreach. Their mission, as it says on the screen, and I'll just read it to you. Our mission is to establish trust, inspire hope by providing access to resources, services, and education to those who are experiencing homelessness and housing instability. I would now like to turn the program over to Brock for the process of answering questions that you might have.
At this time, I'll have the council have any questions or input that they'd like to give these gentlemen.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What is a low barrier? Would you define that word, please?
The low barrier is not what often people think. They tend to associate it with drugs and alcohol, which is a component, but really those are also things like they have a pet. A lot of higher barrier shelters don't allow clients with pets. There's also some of the other issues, maybe they don't have proper ID, some of those aspects. So it's a continuum from anything from some shelters you have to be alcohol and drug free. And in this case, You don't have to be alcohol and drug free. That does mean, however, we do not allow drugs and alcohol on the site. So it's not a free for all or things like that. But we do allow the clients to be able to rest in that facility, even though they have certain impacts that are affecting them.
Mr. Mayor, can I go? Or
Yeah, go
Mayor?
ahead.
I have a few questions. What is, because you mentioned crime rate was in Walla Walla. What is that now compared to Sweet Home's crime rate? Do you know?
I don't have those stats. The assistant city manager did present stats in regards to the hospitalization, emergency room hospitalization, and it declined from over 1,000 visits within a year period. I don't recall the police, but there was also a similar decline in police calls for the mentally challenged as well.
And then also, how much do these cost to manage, and who's going
You need to talk close to the mic, sir.
to? Who is
Yeah.
It's on.
Okay.
Green ring is, the
Um,
green ring is on, so you're
Can you
good.
guys hear me now? We can hear you. Okay. Also, who's going to manage these in Sweet Home? Public Works or the police or?
So this is a collaboration between the City of Sweet Home and Family Assistance and Resource Center Group. With that said, at this time, Family Assistance and Resource Center Group did go out and get a grant specifically for this endeavor. So we were able to get a $150,000 grant. We have funds from this year because we do street outreach. It does fall within some of our guidelines for utilization of our funds for this year. There are other grants and partners that we work with for that grants. If I don't have an entire budget because until the property is approved, there's clearing of the facility, land improvements, facility improvements and such. In general, what we found, at least in Walla Walla, of a similar size and dynamic, the roughly operating costs can be, I do ranges because it also depends on the volunteer clientels. We are staffing it at a minimum of 2 up, 24 hours, unless we have a security detail, and they fall under different rules. But typically it's 2 up. And so we're looking at an operating budget of anywhere from about 200,000 to about 350,000 operating expense. If you're to look at the site improvement and things like that, there have been some cost guidelines there, but we are also looking at partners such as Knife River to donate gravel and other operations to help prep the land and such.
I don't want the cost of taxpayers be astronomical by any means. And my last question is because I went down to Eugene 2 weeks ago or towards some of their facilities down there.
Council Richards, can you sorry, you gotta stay close to the mic.
I keep forgetting, I don't know why that's not weird. But anyways, I went down to Eugene and toured some of their facilities a few weeks ago. And what's stopping homeless people from Brownsville, Albany, Lebanon from coming to Sweet Home now that we have all this free stuff?
Yeah,
I'm just kind of curious.
So in our guidelines, so in the details is what we call a residency clause. And so there is a 60-day residency clause, and then there is a provision for exceptions should there be exceptions.
So basically nothing is really stopping them from.
60-day residency.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I have a question.
Go ahead, Council.
So it was my understanding that when they opened this up 24 hours a day, that the police's mental health calls went down by a full third. Was that correct?
I don't have the exact details, but it was something to that effect.
And that it greatly benefited the police is from what was reported to us.
It greatly impacted the both police and healthcare agencies.
Okay, so it does affect income.
Yeah. So to kind of give a general quote, there was a question asked if the city had to bear the cost to the assistant city manager, the entire cost of this facility, that per individual without hesitancy said in a second we would, because the savings, cost avoidance and savings far, far exceeded the cost of the facility. And kind of back to your question a little bit on budget from the city right now. I haven't seen the budget from the facility. I did hear there are some funds for that, but all the funds right now are from Family Assistance and Resource Center Group.
You may want to get a clarification on the residency too, in case there's anybody wants to clarification on that 60-day. What that meant.
What that meant is they have to be a resident of Sweet Home for at least 60 days prior to being able to
Okay,
be
just
admitted
want to
to
make
that
sure for the
facility.
record clarification. Okay. Any questions of our counselors?
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Brock, have you presented this idea to any cities like Lebanon, Albany, outside of the Sweet Home area, and what has their consensus been?
So we've met directly with the mayor of Albany. They actually have a slightly different type of program. They're actually going for the tiny home option, and they're planning for 3 significant communities to deal with their homelessness. They have a fairly extensive transitional housing. I believe they house nearly 1,000 people in transitional housing. And it is of top priority, and he wants to integrate us into a lot of their options. We actually provide services to Lynn County, although we feel that because of the deficiencies in East Lynn, we're concentrating our efforts there because there are no solutions or very few solutions. In the case of Lebanon, we've met also with their council members and police department, and they've formed a task force where they're also going to other facilities, examining solutions with that, and they are at least exploring that right now.
I have an additional question. Do you have a number of the success stories of the low barrier housing in the transition to finding stable housing?
So in the case of Walla Walla, the executive director, Jordan, said they had a 100% turnover from the emergency shelter to transitional housing. So they have between 48 and 50 huts. They have 2 that are transitional for other reasons, but they were able to transition 48 clients to transitional housing or permanent housing. So 100%.
And this is my final question, but I believe it might be to Ray or Brandon. Did we just pass an ordinance that said that we cannot allow any houses less than 1,000 square feet to be set up? And would this be part of that ordinance change?
Are you referring to the change in manufactured
Right,
home?
correct.
The manufactured, so that would apply only to manufactured homes on individual lots. It doesn't apply to manufactured home parks or any larger development. But an individual lot, if someone was to put a new manufactured home, it has to be multi-sectional and more than 1,000 square feet.
So this would not be considered any sort of structure okay.
These would basically be classified as tents.
Okay, sorry, one more question. So when you go and negotiate with Lynn County, this is their property that we're asking to set this up on, and it's not actually has anything to do with the city per se?
Well, what the county, my assumptions are that the county would want the city to be the leaseholder within the agreement. So the city would be somewhat involved in some way as a leaseholder at minimum. How the rest of the pieces fall into the puzzle would again be up to the council and are yet to be seen.
And that's potentially, we would need insurance and stuff like that to, okay.
Yeah, correct. Which we have reached out to CIS and had those discussions with them about what that would do to rates. I haven't got those numbers back yet, but we've had that discussion. Actually, as has Lebanon. Lebanon had the same discussion.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I was one of the folks that went up there to Walla Walla. If you saw the pictures there, those are not made up. It's clean all the way inside of it. They're little bitty places. I mean, they're really small. And they have no power. They can't smoke. They can't carry a knife or a gun. They can't do any of that. If they get in trouble, they're booted for a certain period of time. And then later than that, they're booted permanently. I don't know what the biggest answer is here, but it's going to cost money. There's no doubt about that. But here's the thing for me, and I'm not 100% for this right at this moment, and I can be swayed to do that direction because of what I saw in Walla Walla. And we're concerned, at least I am, about people coming from Lebanon. Makes sense to me. It makes sense for me to come from Brownsville. It is. I mean, you know, but the other side of it is, would we rather have them in a place like that or on our streets? And I drove by the old city hall there, and the whole parking lot, just well, not the whole parking lot, probably 5 or 6 people laying there doing their whatever they do, and you know that's not good. In fact, the fire district asked me the other day if they could put a gate up on one of the downstairs things so that they don't have feces all over the thing, so they can't go down there. They got to clean it anyway. So it's tough. There's no doubt about it. It's a tough deal. And some of these people are not going to come there. They're simply not going to. We understand that. So I think that having them off the street was probably a better option, but we have to figure out how we're going to get there. And that property that you're talking about is blacktopped. It's not gravel. It's got blacktop because I've been down there. It's right by the railroad tracks, and it's away from residential and all that stuff. So keep that in mind and have an open mind about that. I know there's a lot of people don't like it. I understand that. I really do. But at some point, something's going to have to happen because of the situation. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
So I went to the thing to Walla Walla, and I was quite impressed. Like Dave said, the grounds were clean. And it wasn't just cleaned up for us, they were clean. And that, I think, is the biggest worry I've heard from the community, because they haven't been in the healthcare committee meetings and within your subcommittee to talk and hear that, because in our head, we think about what we're seeing in Salem and in Portland, and that's not what this is. This isn't a tent city, and it isn't garbage piled up on the road. That's what we're trying to avoid. And I think this is a really good solution that will get us where we want to be. I think the other key point is right now they can sleep, like you said, anywhere that they want, and the police officers can't do anything about it. But if we have this facility, they can't. So if we want to fix our downtown and we want to fix our parks and make Sweet Home safer, we need to be able to do this. And if they're naughty, they're booted, but they can't just go and sleep on Main Street. So it gives us a tool. It gives our officers tools in their toolbox to be able to deal with this issue. But those people who do want to work and those people who do need to be safe at night and get a shower so they can keep a job, now they'll be able to do that. And that's really important for those who don't want to be homeless. We can't save everybody, but we can also make sure we don't have a tent city in Sweet Home and that it's a safe, clean environment and it's our environment. And so I was quite impressed that they were able to achieve that. And I think most cities in Oregon could benefit from following that model.
We definitely have a problem here in this community, and I don't have an answer to the problem or solution. And these gentlemen are trying to find the best solution for this problem. I guess will be considered the bad guy because I was the one that kind of had the heavy hand on the Nazarene Church and having them removed because it was out of hand. It was just out of control, and feedback from the police and what was transpiring there. That was not a good situation. So that was, if anybody wants to throw daggers at me, I'm the one that said enough's enough with the Nazarene Church. But we do have a problem, and I agree we have to find a solution to this problem. And I've seen some positive stuff that came out of Walla Walla. I know there's a lot of questions. I guess I want to see a little bit more information than what was presented tonight, especially from costs, and I do want to hear all the citizens in the back tonight feedback regarding this matter too. And so I thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation this evening, and thanks for all you do. And great presentation. So thank you.
We have one last question of you.
Okay.
Okay, that's the biggest question of the night. Will the Sweet Home City Council support the program and direct the city manager to start negotiations with an agreement with Lynn County on the use of the Knife property for the development and operation of a proposed sleep center? Winter is coming quickly. It's months away. Winter is coming quickly and it's months away. I would hate to see us go back to a tent city like what we had at the Nazarene Church. That was not what our community wants. And maybe our community doesn't want to address the problem at all. Maybe we just want to bury our heads in the sand and hope it goes away. But the reality is it's not going away. And if you don't believe that, look at every off-ramp on I-5. Every one of them is growing, growing, growing. They are unmanaged, filthy, dirty tent cities. And I can almost guarantee that that's going to spread. I just hope it doesn't spread to Sweet Home. I hope that we have a managed solution and see if that works. It may not. It may not work. It's working in Walla Walla. The people that visited Walla Walla to the very person said, yeah, this looks like something that would be good for Sweet Home. I am sure that there are many, many facts that you would love to have. I only had a short period of time to present the information. If you have other questions, you can contact Brock. He's the one that has really all of the answers, not all of the answers, but probably more answers than I have. But we need to start moving, or else we're going to end up in the middle of winter again and not be able to do anything but repeat what we did last year. And I would hate to see that happen. So
that's a very big question, and I agree with you. You need an answer. But unfortunately tonight, this is not an RCA. So I do want to hear from my citizens of this community regarding this matter.
Good.
And I would encourage that we listen to the citizens of our community. I think you're entitled to an answer. So therefore we put it forth on our upcoming agendas on our next council.
Okay.
And we will get you an answer to your biggest question.
Great.
Mr.
Thank
Mayor,
you. We appreciate it.
That kind of a correction. That's not Knife River property.
No, it's not Knife River property.
No, say it's Knife property. That's not Knife.
No,
property.
it's called the Knife property because it looks like a knife. I did explain that.
Okay.
I explained that it looks like a culinary
Okay.
knife. It's not a knife because people were cutting. It's not Knife River. It looks like the shape of a knife. And so it's been nicknamed the Knife property. Exactly. Thanks for raising that question because
Anything else further, these gentlemen?
I can't be for this until I see hard facts. I mean,
what facts?
I'd like to see what percent actually get back into the work, get employment. I want to see how much the cost is to taxpayers short. Right now, it would be if we develop it in long term.
Okay.
I can't.
We can get
support
those.
something.
We'll get them to you before you have to make a
And
decision.
I'll be willing to sit down. Anytime you guys want to sit down and talk, I'm always available. So
Good.
Thank you.
Our next council meeting is September 14th.
Okay.
Okay. Please present all your statistics and facts back to the council before then.
If any of the rest of you do have questions, I would appreciate just emailing them to me and I'll forward them to Brock. I know they have my email. They may not have Brock's. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could real quick.
Yes.
Okay, please. What I'd like to ask the council to do is if you email Dr. Horton or Brock a question, could you please carbon copy me on it I think what's going to be important here is that everybody, all of you who are going to make this decision have all the same information. So if you can carbon copy me, then when the answers come, I can redistribute it out to the other 6 counselors so that you're all making decisions based on the same information. Thank you.
Sounds good. Go ahead.
Dr. Horton, that means you've got to hit reply all. So I get it back too. Okay, thank you.
Counselor Gerson.
Mr. Crowley, that you send us Larry Horton email. please.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, now we're going to go back up to recognition of visitors and hearing of petitions. At this time, I'll have visitors come forth on the agenda items and have their testimony be heard. Please come forth. Anybody would like to be heard? That it's signed in. Make clarification. Signed in. And I'll need name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Adam Real. My address is 41235 Highway 228 here in Sweet Home. I was in the last winter camp. I helped build it. I did some bad things in my time. I am now 5 months sober without the help of that camp during the winter. And I was lost. I wasn't able to believe in myself. The FAC, the church helped me believe in myself. And by you guys helping them and letting them believe in themselves, help me believe that I could be a better person. I have faced everything that I have done wrong legally, and I'm almost completely done with it. And I'm, like I said, I'm 5 months sober. I am still kind of technically considered homeless because I'm renting a trailer on a private property, but I have some stability, and I work closely with the FAC volunteering, and they helped me a lot. And to benefit from the services and giving that hope and helping people change their minds and believing in themselves can actually make a difference. Yes, the homeless camp at the Sweet Home Nazarene was not protocol, but it was a trial and error. Yes, I worked laboriously, keeping it clean, hoping to keep it steady, feeding those that didn't have food and providing services while I was there. And we had some few good successes, me and my future fiance. And I just wanted to be heard that they helped me believe, which means you guys helped me believe in being a better person. And I think we would benefit from something like this with the services to help those that want to be helped and move forward and have hope yet again. No matter what the circumstances, law, family death, mental health issues, I suffer from all. And they've helped me to become a better person. You helped me to become a better person. So I just ask in your hearts, please help me, help them believe in themselves and have hope that things will be better. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Josh Thorstad, 1210 44th Avenue, Sweet Home, Oregon. So I'm glad I came tonight. We moved here 3 years ago. I don't even know where to start. So with Kate Brown's new mandates, there's going to be a lot of homeless people in Sweet Home. Everybody's going to be losing their jobs. I pay a lot of money in property taxes, and I don't support this. If any of you vote on this, I will do everything in my power, financially, voluntarily, to find somebody to run against you and put a stop to you. I'm a local business owner. I have 2 of them. I work my butt off to get what I get. I get people who are down on the luck. I get it. But it's not my responsibility to pay for them. So Kate Brown could take them. She can do whatever she wants with them, put them somewhere else. They can get rehab somewhere else. But no matter what you do here, they're going to come from Eugene, Bend, Portland. They're going to come from everywhere. Just like with legalizing drugs, and our police can't do their jobs because of people in power that are putting these rules in place. So, like I said, I'm warning all of you right now. I will refinance my home. I'll sell my businesses. I'll do everything I can to run against you and find somebody to replace you. I'll end. Thank you.
I don't know if somebody just.
Name and address for the record.
Do I must I give my full name and address?
Yes, you do.
I'll give PO Box.
I need a record. Name and address for the record, please. Sorry. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kimberly Tryon. I live at 1301 47th Avenue, Sweet Home, Oregon. I just want to come up here and say that recently Biden uplifted that thing so landlords can now fire their renters that can't pay. So homeless are going to be coming from that. And people have been crossing the border pretty crazy, and homeless are going to be coming from that. And if I was homeless and I lived anywhere and I found out about these neat little houses, I'd come. And if they told me, hey, you have to be here 60 days, I'd camp right across the street. I mean, I think there'll be a bigger problem if people find out they could just come and be like, here's little homes for you. And sorry, I'm a little nervous. I think that this could cause a bigger problem. And what about the people who do break the rules there? Like, what happens to them? Like you said, they can no longer sleep on the street. Well, where are they going to sleep? Now we just kick them out of the city. Like, if they break the rules, I mean, what's stopping them from coming right back to the city? I just don't think this is the right plan, and I think it's a beautiful plan in a short sense. You know, it's nice to help people out. I've been homeless, and Shem helped me out, and so I've given back to Shem. I think it's important to give back, but I don't think it's important to I don't think people should have to have this taken out of their taxes. This isn't, I mean, I don't want to be greedy, but the more money I'm giving out to other people, the less money I have for myself and my family and me getting a place, which is already hard to do. So, and I get Walla Walla, they said it had like 100%, but this is all before people were allowed to kick out their tenants for not paying rent, which is about to happen a lot because a lot of people have been out of jobs. So I think this is just going to cause more. I think they're going to flood in from everywhere. And I think Portland will see a lot less homeless and we'll see a lot more. I really do think that. Anyways, that's all I have to say. And please don't just be like, okay, well, it sounds like a good idea and I think lots of people will like it. Like the gentleman said, if this is what you're for, then my vote is somewhere else. Thank you.
My name is Rick Mason. I'm at 1410 Tamarack Street. And I pastored a church in New York, and we were in the thick of it. My church was half black and half Hispanic. Me and my wife were the only white people there most of the time. And they'd come in and they'd want handouts. They'd want, money. And it's like, no. You go sleep somewhere, and if you're here in the morning, I'll take you out, buy you breakfast, and I'll show you how to hustle a job. Okay? And I showed them how to hustle a job. And they'd get a job, and they'd earn some money, and then there were places they could go and get themselves a place to live. And it meant something because they were paying for it, and it cost them to live there. It cost them to pay for their food, and they got some dignity back in their lives. You know, oh yeah, I could have given them handouts, but I wanted to teach them to fish, you know, and it makes a difference. And where's my compassion? My compassion is I want them to survive on their own. You know, I know there's people who need help. I know there's people who have mental issues, but I've been on the street since I was a little kid. Okay. I left home at a very young age. Had a very, you know, my earliest memories are of abuse. And I know what it's like to need, but I know what it's like to stand on your own 2 feet too. And, you know, this all sounds good, but like the gentleman was saying, I can't help but believe they just want to, you know, the Salem, they just don't want them there. They just don't want them in their pretty little city. They want to ship them off here to Sweet Home and then make them our problem. Okay? We don't want their problem to be our problem. We don't want their mask to be our mask. And you have to ask yourself, are these people last at the meeting at the park? Are they the majority or are they the minority? They're the minority. Hey, you know what? Blow them off. They're just a few voters. They don't matter. You'll get reelected. But if they're the majority that are, and it's all a matter of control. They're saying, we don't want to be controlled. She's out of control. She's making these mandates. She's making these executive decisions. She's out of control. And we don't want to be pushed around anymore. And if we're the majority, you're not going to get reelected. That's all I have.
And thank you for your testimony. I mean, to use normal. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Lori Martin, Sunset Drive, Sweet Home. Brownsville, just moved from Sweet Home. So I have a bunch of questions, and I know I don't have time for them. I don't know if this is something I should address to the city council about this homeless camp, is as in, you know, who's going to pay all this? I understand we touched some of the bases on that, but there's no way that a decision can be made on this quickly, because there's so much to deal with. The cost, you know, they talked about the carrot from Kate Brown. I don't know what that means. Evidently, there's an allotment that comes to the city for doing something like that. Is that true? Is there money coming from the government?
Not
So
that I'm
there's
aware of.
no funds coming from anywhere else than Sweet Home and this organization. Okay, great. That was one of my questions.
Mayor, can I clarify?
Yeah, go ahead and clarify, but.
So FAC has received a $150,000 grant, I believe, for
Okay.
this project. That's the only money. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So far, there's at least $150,000 of grant money towards
Okay.
this project.
So there is no grant or anything from the government that's going to give to Sweet Home for doing this project. Okay, great. My other question is there's going to be a site host or 2 employees 24 hours a day? Is that my understanding to this camp?
That's what they said earlier on.
Okay,
Testimony.
okay, I just want to clarify.
No, go ahead.
Also, I would like to know what the equality of, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Walla Walla's, their crime rate, their population compared to Sweet Home, their climate is significantly different than ours. That's going to play a difference in the roles in your percentages and your numbers also. There's a lot here I would really hope that our council takes into consideration and investigates before they make this kind of a decision. I have to agree with some of the people before me. If you build it, they will come. I am not against helping the homeless. I have taken families in my own home that have slapped me in the face multiple times. Why I do it more than once, I don't know, but I have. I have taken a mother and her 3 children home taken them into my home at 1 a.m. from an abusive situation, end up keeping some of the kids. And I did have one good outcome of it. The one girl has done very well. She's 31 years old. She's 15 when I took her in. Had I had another one, same situation. You can help them and help them and help them. And unless they want help, they're just going to abuse the system. And I would like to say to this gentleman here, bravo, fantastic. Keep it up. That's great. Take one day at a time. You are worthy and you can do it. I'm not saying I'm for it or completely against it, but my experience with the Salvation Army and having family that has went into the Salvation Army, this family member has been in prison 3 times. He's now a pastor of the church with Salvation Army. Salvation Army did help him, but he had to work for everything he got. Getting it given to him would have not worked. It didn't work the first 3 times. So I agree with some of the things the other people had said about working for it. I don't have a solution either. I would just have to say at this point, being someone who's lived in Sweet Home for 30 years, love Sweet Home, love the community. The people of Sweet Home will come out and help. They do help all the time. I've seen them doing it. And we need to look really hard at our community what's best for us.
Thank you for your testimony.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to clarify something.
Go ahead.
They did have a person that worked there every day, Monday through Friday, I believe. But just like Sweet Home, they have volunteers that help out different shifts and all those kinds of things. So that you need to keep in mind too. So anyway, thanks for your help, guys. We appreciate your comments.
Name and address for the record, sir.
The name's Clinton Gregg. My address is 28476 Ridgeway Road, Sweet Home, Oregon. Just a personal opinion on it. And living in the city, and I'm from Washington State, Spokane, been through Walla Walla so many times and such. And I noticed in Walla Walla, it's a bigger area, so there's bigger opportunity for people to have an outreach for jobs, doctors if they got a mental issue, or different outlets in general to help them personally. Out here in Sweet Home, just as a citizen now and coming out here, I see I'm sure a lot of people drive to work out of town and go out of town. So for homeless people, I don't know how they would be able to get a job in this area to ultimately get out. It's so hard in the aspect for people to find a job out here personally, so to see that. Second of all is how are they going to get that extra help from like doctors or different people on the mental standpoint in this area? We don't really have that. I know we got our Sweet Home Clinic and that's pretty much it. But in the cities, you have every outlet for the homeless for people to have these options. Don't get me wrong, Sweet Home's a beautiful area and crap, man, I'd love to pinch a tent outside and just hang out and sit under the stars and enjoy this area. But being a citizen here, we got to look out for our people here first. And I think our homeless rate right now is manageable. And if we can create more things to help them out, that would be beautiful. But just to bring in more and more people when there's not really opportunity is kind of something to take in and understand, because there's not a whole lot of opportunity in Sweet Home job wise. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to address that to a certain degree. Last time I went into McDonald's, which is not very often, to get some cookies, there's a sign on the place where you get your food, $16 an hour, $16 an hour with medical, a 401k, and help going to school. And when I travel out of town, all over the whole Lynn County, there are signs with people wanting help. Okay, so there's jobs there, and I'm not knocking any of these people that are doing that. We're not good doing. And for them to get there, guess what they can do? They can get on a bus right out here. They can get on a bus right out here and go all the way to Albany, and they'll bring them back every day. And they come in there many, many times a day, if I'm not mistaken. Oh,
No,
ma'am, just I'll finish. If you want to come and speak, you can, with due respect. So there's jobs there. There are jobs there. And there are a lot more than when I was a kid, obviously, a long, long time ago. And they're offering people a lot of money to come and work, a lot of money. So we can't use that as a problem with that, in my opinion. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
Okay, if you'd like to come forth, be heard, I'll let you at this time. It varies. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Veronica Ellis. I live at 1737 Long Street, Sweet Home, Oregon. I'm very happy to live in this beautiful town, and that's the way I want it to stay. As far as the jobs, our governor or our legislators are giving too many subsidies for our pandemic that it's worth the people to stay home because they can get more money staying home than they can to go to work. And that's one of the reasons that we have all these jobs needed. Our towns and places are screaming for people to come to work. That's why they're giving them more money and benefits. So I did want to state that. And that's a fact. Okay, now as far as the rest of it, which I didn't really plan on talking, but I will. I'm not for, I feel sorry for these people out on the street, but most generally, people out on the street are there because that's where they want to be. That's a fact. As far as Sweet Home, we do not have the resources to support something like this. I don't even care if we do get some government subsidies. It's still going to be on the people, the citizens of Sweet Home, and we are barely scraping by as it is. It is. I mean, look how many jobs have been lost and businesses have been lost because of this, quote, pandemic. And you notice I say quote, okay? It's more of a control thing, and a lot of people know it. Let me see what else. Okay, as far as the faculty, are there any amounts of times if this were to come about? Is there any length of time before, okay, if you haven't pulled your shit together, excuse me, but if you haven't pulled your stuff together at a certain length of time, we're going to have to evacuate you to bring somebody else in that might be more able to want to be helped by this program. And I didn't hear anybody saying a time limit. There's no time limit on these being at this park, or this faculty, from what I have heard so far. Let me see what else. Like I said, we can't afford it. We can barely afford to take care of ourselves. Is this, even though I know that you have made a state of emergency for Sweet Home because of this homeless situation, and is there any government subsidies for that for Sweet Home?
Clarification, Ray, on that.
So the council declared a state of emergency, was it March of last year regarding COVID?
Okay.
There's not a state of emergency related to homelessness.
Okay, then I misread it, and pardon me. I think that's about all because I'm nervous and I can't figure out what else I want to say. So thank you for listening to me, and please take this seriously. We don't want to ruin our town, and I agree. I do believe it will bring undesirables into our city. It will. We know it. And please don't.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
So I'd like to do a point of clarification. Right now, people can sleep where they want in public property. Whether there's a toilet, whether there's a shower, anything, they just lay down their heads and rest wherever they want. Having a facility that actually locks up at night to where that you can't just come and go as you like, literally just moves them all out of your doorways. It's moving them out of your doorways and out of your alleyways to where that they can be seen and into a little hut that has a platform, a calf panel, and a tarp over it. No electricity. There's nothing amazing or wonderful about this. All it is just a place for them to rest dry, which is not, just a step up from where they were last year, where everybody was upset about it. So we're just trying to find a solution to give our officers and our community more tools. It is not an answer to end all, but we have a company that's willing to take this on. But also when they're naughty, they can be kicked out of the area. They don't have to stay in the doorway, where right now we can't do anything about it. So that's the laws in Oregon.
Out of work, please.
I live in Sweet Home. I know. I live in Sweet Home too. I all my life, generations. And so I'm just trying to find a solution to help. That's all. That's all.
There'll be no outbursts from the audience, please. Name and address for the record, please.
Elizabeth Windsor. I'm houseless. I just had a few questions. Have they lifted the ordinances that prevented people from living tiny properties or small homes, campers, or pre-1978 trailers on their own properties? Because people were prevented from living on their own property in dwellings of their choosing that were affordable, putting people at risk of homelessness and jeopardizing their housing safety if they could not afford a more expensive property. How can they, if those ordinances or regulations have not been lifted, how can they prevent people from living in tents or campers on property, yet go and charge those same people money to make a public? Do you understand my question?
There's no ordinance. So nobody has been forced out of their home because of the age of their mobile units.
And I've known people that have been.
Yeah, no, not Sweet Home.
Oh, well, surrounding area. So I guess. Maybe
Yeah, so this is the city of Sweet Home. We have no jurisdiction over anything outside of the city limits. So
okay.
Now what we do have is an ordinance where any new structures that are brought in have to be, is it 78?
It's not there's not a year specified. It depends on the energy efficiency of the home itself. And so that's what it has to meet current building code for energy efficiency. Yeah. But that's for new properties. If there's an existing home on a property, it can remain. If someone chooses to remove that home and put something else, that's what dictates. It has to be something that meets current code.
Does current code allow people to live in dwellings under 200 square feet on their own property?
If it's a home that's under 200 square feet, sure. There's not a minimum square foot size of a home unless there are rules for manufactured homes. But again, that's for new construction. That's for new homes placed on a lot. It does not apply to anything existing at this time.
So you can build yourself a tiny house on your property.
If you own a piece of property, you can build a stick-built house as small as you can, as long as it meets building code. Yeah.
There was a few years ago, I think it was KZI or whatever, they reported that Sweet Home had a 10 or 12% population of homeless children in our schools. Is that still?
It sounds about right. I don't have the statistics in front of me. I mean, you're quoting stuff I don't have in front of me.
I just wonder if there's anything being done to prioritize the housing security of our homeless children.
Okay.
And
John, you're absolutely correct. To answer the question, our school district has got programs to assist in that. So there is some.
So they are getting housing for the children.
They're trying to figure out solutions to that from the school district level. Thank you for your testimony. Good evening. Name and address for record, please.
Nancy Patton. I live on Foothills Drive. I came here because I was
I don't want to wear my mask anymore. And I want the city to, are you going to talk about that tonight? Sometime, okay. But anyway, I just wanted to tell the group here, the crowd, that I understand that we have a law now. They brought it up, Dr. Horton. And so I know we have homeless people. When my business was in town, homeless people were always there hanging out and stuff. They've never bothered me. But I do know that as a state now, we have a law. We have to provide something, or they can sleep on public property. I know that. So I don't know what we're going to do. I know a lot of people are here. I hear them. They're frustrated. They don't want that to happen. But I know as a community, we have to do something. What are we going to do? So, again, it's because the law that they kept talking about, there's a committee now that's looked into a lot of information. So again, we're going to have a public meeting, I guess, somewhere down the road and talk some more about this. But as a citizen here, I know that we have to do something. I'm not pro, against, or for. I'm just know we have to do something because we have a law. It's different than a mandate from Kate Brown, but we have a law. Again, you have to provide something for the homeless people. That's it.
Thank you for your testimony. Any more folks who'd like to come forth to be heard? I will allow one quick question.
I just wanted to clarify what you said about they're locking this camp at night. So when the homeless people go to their huts or whatever they are, then they're going to be locked in there and they cannot leave till morning. So they can leave, but they can't
Till
but
morning
until
if they
morning.
leave. And so your neighborhoods are actually safer.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody forth would like to come forth to be heard? Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Lillian Mikowski. My address is 39312 Crawfordsville Drive, Sweet Home.
Welcome.
Thank you. Where do I start? A few years ago, I wrote a proposal for to deal with homeless people, and it was a sustainable solution. And nobody's brought anything like that up, although somebody mentioned it's better to teach someone how to fish so they can feed themselves. And I think that's something that could be considered for a long term. And there's a lot of, being able to grow your own food for one thing, and being able to sell that food even to the community, so that you actually you're building self-esteem and purpose, and you're working in nature, which is really good for your mental health. There's a lot of things to be said for being able to garden all around mental health. It's not, that's a long-term solution and maybe something to be looked at in the future. And also I thought about, as people are getting help, that maybe they could even help other farmers that need help, because there's a lot of farmers around here that need help. So obviously there needs to be a lot of mental health to be looked at. And I think that's probably the most expensive solution. But when people are treated with dignity, they would act with more dignity. It takes time to change people's thinking, because they get used to doing things a certain way, and they get used to being treated a certain way, and so they act like dogs, and they crap all over the place just like a dog. So I just feel like it's important to look at the whole person and to provide solutions that are going to help them all around, and not just give them a way out. But obviously we need to do something temporary right now, and this is a start, but I don't think it's a long-term solution. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have two folks online who wish to provide comment. The first would be Mr. Brad Marks.
Okay, I'll allow that, but remind him of 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. Mr. Marks, you're able to unmute your microphone and speak when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It wasn't on this issue. I just wanted to speak about the mask mandate.
Go ahead. Like I said, give name and address and I will accommodate 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Brad Marks, 1301 Tamarack Street. And I just, I believe for the safety of our children and stuff, we should be wearing masks. And I expect, everybody to have the right to choose whether they want to or not. But my regards and my feelings are that just for the safety of our children. And if you ask the children, most of them are good with wearing a mask as long as they can go to school with their friends. Thanks.
Thank you for your testimony. Next one.
Let me get him. Sorry, trying to find them in the list. Okay, our next one is Mr. Rob Keene. Rob, you may unmute your mic and speak to the council when you're ready. Mr. Keene?
Rob, are you on the line?
I see that he unmuted his microphone, Mr. Mayor, but he may be having audio issues as far as making it through. So
If you can hear us, if we can't hear you, I would recommend that you
You did type a rebuttal in.
That's what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
so
Please type a rebuttal in and make sure the city council has a copy of your statement for us to read.
Would you like me to read what he's entered?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Keene stated a rebuttal should be made that there is no agenda to bring in homeless from out of town. We have the benefit of a model in the Walla Walla project. That model may not be perfectly analogous, but that facility doesn't appear to be experiencing an issue with attracting homeless people from other communities.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. Anybody else would like to come forth to be heard? Very brief. Go ahead.
Nobody chooses to be homeless. You talk about the rent coming up to where they're going to evict people for not paying rent because of the pandemic and all that. Well, if you remember a while back, the no cause eviction, when they the landlords could evict people for no cause reasons. I was a victim of the no cause. And they had no justice to evict me other than the city or the neighborhood stating that I was a drug dealer when I knew a lot of people and had friends coming over, visiting, barbecuing, being a part of the community, and that I was a bully. This is before I got into the drugs and started doing the bad things that I did. And I've been homeless for about 5 or 6 years. I didn't have a choice in that option. And it's hard for somebody with a background like I do to get into a place, but I'm trying to strive to better myself, help myself. Nobody has a choice. Some do make a choice being homeless, which I'm hearing, but somebody like me who got a no cause like 5 or 6 years ago has been having a hard time getting back up. You have several different aspects. The people being evicted for the not paying rent coming up. Yeah, that's going to swamp cities. Bringing up other cities. I was in Albany the other day, and I saw a big sign stating that they're gonna build a hut city. I'm thinking that's for homeless, because they have the helping hands and they have signs of misery, but hut city, what is that? I've been trying to figure that out. Some people have said it's to build little houses and everything. So if everybody's getting on board and starting to do this in other cities, yes, there are some that may come, they may not. So, yeah, but I just want to make the point that there are people that make the choice to be homeless, but then some get pushed into circumstances where they had no choice and are trying to strive to better themselves. And this would help those that want the help, like I did. I'm still trying to help the community. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to come forth to be heard?
Mr. Mayor, Dr. Horton, did we not get a stiff thing from the hospital in Walla Walla? They were helping with the stuff that was going on there with the mental health and all those things. I think they had a. Yeah. Well, I think that was pretty clear for me anyway, and it might not be for Counselor Gorley, but I think that's the way I read it anyway. I heard it. And I also thought that the Samaritan was going to help possibly with that too. Am I wrong on that?
We are currently partnered with.
Yes. Okay. Folks, I want to let you know that it's perfectly clear for me. This is a tough decision for us to make. It is horrible. It's horrible. One way or the other, it's going to be, there's going to be some negative stuff. There's no doubt about that. But we have to do what's best for our community. And whether we come to a decision you don't care about, and we don't know what we're going to end up with. We don't have any idea right at the time, and there's a lot of questions to be answered. There's a lot of questions to be answered, and we were trying to get there. This is a struggle for us. We've been doing this for a long time, long time. Anyway, that's just my thought, and I appreciate you guys coming and giving us your how you feel about this thing, and it's painful. It is absolutely painful to go through this process. So I appreciate you coming. I appreciate your comments, and we respect that. So anyway.
May. Okay. I remember the New Era a few years ago had interviewed all the homeless people in Sweet Home. I forgot to bring that with me today. I had it printed out, but half of them said they enjoyed it. It was their own choice. I just cannot. I don't find this as a solution to homelessness at all. I can't support this. I'm not going to vote for it. There's just too many questions already. I can't.
Mr. Mayor, if I could please. Mr. Keene had additional points that he was hoping we could read into the record with your permission.
I'll give latitude on it.
His second point is that a great barrier to getting a job is filling out personal information. This would give an address and phone number that a job seeker can put on an application to begin the employment process and a path to homelessness recovery.
Thank you for your testimony. No more. Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to come forth, be heard? Okay. Question for council. We got two ways we can deal with this because there is a lot of questions for Mr. Horton and Brock. We could have a work session and just hammer out a lot of the questions that we may have to save a lot of emails, a lot of issues we may be having, and speed up the time on this and save a lot of headache and a lot of work. We could go that route, or does the council want to just submit all the questions through emails and make the decision based on that? Two options there.
I would be in favor of a work session. That way all the counselors could hear all the information that's been worked out through the months that they may not know. You know, it was just like having a facility that's got a fence around it and barbed wire around the top so that you could lock the stinking doors at night. They wouldn't know that if we hadn't asked those questions or talked about it. So
I think a work session is probably the best.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I do too. And I think that you folks in the audience should have a shot at listening to that stuff. It's an open session. We don't block that. And if Dr. Horton can be there and that gentleman can be there, maybe we can get through some of the questions that and there's a lot of ifs out there. There's a lot of them. The money, what we're going to do, all those things, what the county's going to help, if they help at all, if the state's going to help at all. There's a lot of questions out there. And maybe we can get some of those answered by the time you have your stuff that you come to the next council meeting or whatever it is. So I appreciate that. I agree with that, Mr. Mayor.
Brock and Mr. Horton, are you, how soon will you be able to put things together and come before a work session? What day works for the council?
Friday or Thursday.
Okay, Thursday, Friday, okay.
Yeah, it is. If Mr. Mayor, if I could add, with the holiday weekend, there's going to be a significant number of staff that are in and out as well.
How about council looking at yours, because we don't have a meeting on the week of 7th, 8th, 9th. Is there any open days there? Not necessarily making it next week because of the holidays. Okay, so that gives enough time to be able to get something. So I would say probably either Tuesday or Wednesday would be a better time. That way we get something on agenda by Thursday or Friday for the city.
So I heard somebody say they preferred a Thursday or Friday. So
let's do a Tuesday, Wednesday, because you guys need to be able to have the time to put this on the agenda for the following council meeting on September 14th.
Gotcha. Yeah.
How about 9th? No, I don't think that's gonna work.
And we can put a placeholder into the agenda, so it'll, because we put the agenda out on Thursday so you get 5 days, or we strive to put it out on Thursday at some point in time.
There's been a request for the 9th. Thursday.
Okay, what we can do is put the agenda out just with a placeholder and then follow up with whatever information comes out of the work session as well.
Okay. So let's put down for the record, September 9th here. And what time works for?
There's a library advisory board, that meeting in this room from 4:30 until 5:30 that I think Megan's pretty excited about.
And then there's a planning commission meeting at 6:30
Okay.
on Thursday, the 9th.
And
No, wait. No, actually there isn't. Sorry. It's the third. It's the 2nd.
so again, Ray, what?
We could do Thursday is probably as early as 6:30.
Okay, 6:30, September 9th. Council chambers here.
Are we discussing a different, or just the questions for this policy, or are we thinking of something like a?
No, we're talking, we're talking about this and projecting to
I just want clarification.
questions. We're not going to restart everything up. These guys are looking for an answer to the question. We need to have a work session to answer a lot of the questions, whether we're going to get a yes or no regarding this. Okay. Okay, so make it for the 9th at 6:30.
So if I could, with the council, the group has requested simply that staff have the ability to begin negotiating some kind of a lease agreement. Would the council be opposed to staff working on that lease agreement concurrently with your work session? The agreement would, of course, come back to the council for your signature. And it would only take place if you approve of the project, but at least we could put some time and effort into in getting something down on paper, so it's not bottlenecking us, assuming you approve the project or don't.
Well, at least that gives some numbers and other
Absolutely.
information that we need to know anyway, so I
Correct.
have no problem with that.
Yeah.
So therefore, we have, as a council, we have a very tough situation we're faced. And this is not advocating yes or no for this. So like Councilor Trask talked, this is a very tough situation. The council has a lot to think about. We have a lot of information that these gentlemen have got to provide us. We have to make a decision as a council based on the facts, information, and the testimony has been brought forth by the citizens of this community and in the testimonies. I also remind that you make your decisions not on threats. Threats don't go nowhere, okay? But on the same token, we have to make our decisions what's best for our community and be mindful of that. We also got to make decisions not on emotions, but decisions on facts. And so therefore, I remind the council to do a hard thought about this decision and make sure that we do our due diligence with all testimony, all information brought forth to this council. Okay? Thank you for everybody coming regarding this matter this evening. Next up, request for council action, RCA. Ray, would you?
Yeah, so this item begins on page 19 of your council packet. A quick review of information on the August 10th, 2021 City Council meeting. The mayor requested a resolution be brought before the City Council regarding the effects of COVID-19 precautions enacted by Governor Kate Brown. Attached is a draft document for your consideration. On review some history, on March 8th, 2020, Governor Kate Brown enacted Executive Order 2003, declaring a state of emergency throughout Oregon due to the COVID-19 virus and pending pandemic. She did so under the authority of ORS 401.165 to 401.670, ORS 433.443, and ORS 431A.015. Governor Brown declared a public health emergency under ORS 653.616. Since that time, additional executive orders have been enacted for the purpose of protecting and mitigating the spread of COVID-19. Some of the mandates have been sweeping in nature, including the closure of schools and businesses and churches. There have been a lot of unintended consequences of these measures, encompassing certain crimes and rise in mental health issues, including depression. It's commonly discussed children may be suffering the most from these executive orders implemented to combat COVID-19. The city of Sweet Home has seen an increase in mental health calls of about 131% between 2019 and 2020. There's a typo in the RCA there. That should be 2020. Currently, the police department's on track to see an increase of 288% in 2021 over the pre-pandemic numbers. Likewise, they've recorded a 24% increase in domestic violence calls in 2020. What you have before you is a draft. When I was asked to do this, I used three examples. I used Brownsville, I used Halsey, and I used Baker City. Pulled some things from all three of those. I will tell you, this is a statement that needs to come from the council, not from staff. So this draft is what I would call weak would be a fair assumption, depending on which side of the debate you're on. So this is just a starting point for you as council, and we as staff will make whatever changes you direct us to make, or we'll pass it on through the appropriate channels if you choose to pass it tonight.
I was the one that requested this proclamation to be brought forth immediately. Keep everybody in mind that this was a very quick proclamation that was put together. So yeah, I appreciate the city doing what they did. Again, to me, it's a little watered down, but it is up for this council for the decision. So we have options before you. So at this time, I will ask for council directive as to which direction of the options they would like to go.
Mr. Mayor, if I may make a motion?
Okay, motion on table.
I would like to push this to a work session. I do not believe that this is what I have personally requested for in regards to a resolution. I'd like the council to be working together on this.
I will second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. By roll call.
Counselor Trask,
No.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Mahler,
Yes.
Counselor Gerson, Counselor Richards,
Yes.
Counselor Gorley. No.
Let the record show we have 4 ayes and 2 nays. This work session needs to be immediate. I do not want this strung out. So we need to figure out an immediate date as a council to come together. I want a proclamation in place immediately. So therefore, give me a date, council.
As soon as possible, it's fine with me.
What works?
We do tomorrow. I don't care. Whatever was the soonest date we can all get.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have any time. That's fine with me too. Whatever day you guys pick, I'm okay with whatever day you pick.
Okay,
I'm not available tomorrow.
okay.
I'm out tomorrow and Friday. Sorry. Yeah, and plus with a public meeting, we have notification requirements for any public meeting that are at least 24 hours.
So how about Monday?
What time? In the evening, I'm available. I work for a living.
Evening.
Yeah, evening would be fine.
It's way past my bedtime already right now.
I'm okay with that too.
Okay, make it for Monday, the 30th.
Okay.
Which time? What time works for everybody? What time, Lisa?
6:30 is fine.
Let's make it 6:30 so I can make it. It shouldn't take very long.
6:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And we will have a proclamation in front of the citizens by the next council meeting. Thank you. Moving on, we have no first and second readings of ordinances. We already took care of the third reading. So therefore, we're now moving on to committees. I am making a change on committees. I'm going to change up committees a little bit. Councilor Coleman is going to be taking over Legislative Committee. Councilor Gerson is going to be taking over Chamber of Commerce. Councilor Richard, I need you to focus on solid waste of some of the matters that's going to be coming up here soon. So that will be the changes coming forth. That said, any other committee reports that like to come forth? Any committee reports?
I did have a legislative one. The governor did sign the water transplant money bill back on July 19th, I believe it was. We're just waiting for the estimate from the city from the engineers. That's what we are waiting on.
Okay.
Can I clarify that for?
Yeah.
We did receive an email today from Business Oregon. They're drafting the contract for us on those funds. And it operates just like a construction loan. So as we incur expenses, then we would submit those expenses and be reimbursed for them as the project moves along.
Any other committee reports? Okay. Nothing under mayor's report, city manager's report.
First, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce everybody to our new library. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce everybody to our new library services director, Megan Daisy. Megan comes to us from Puyallup. However, she is actually originally from the Sweet Home area, grew up in North Bend. She has some great stories to tell of her family volunteering at the old library when it was in the basement of the old City Hall building. So Megan has some ties to the community. She brings a wealth of knowledge, and her former boss in Puyallup was very upset she was leaving Their loss is our gain. And so far, Megan's fitting in very well with staff. We're certainly enjoying having her, especially me.
It's great to be here. I guess I didn't get a mic.
She's already fitting right in.
We can combinate you with this microphone.
No, it's great to be here and to meet everybody I've met in the last, I think, been on job about 12 days. So it's been great to be here. I've met a few of you during the interview process, and it's just been, everything's been great about Sweet Home, and it just feels like home already.
Well, welcome. So.
Already keeping me in line, as you can see. Tune It Up Tuesdays. We've partnered with the Chamber of Commerce and the Oregon Jamboree. We held the second event last Tuesday. There was roughly 150 people there, enjoying the community and enjoying each other's company, and some great music. The whole idea is to help bring people downtown to help support local businesses. The Chamber's communicated, asked them to stay open late, do some kind of sidewalk sale things. We're pretty excited about it. It's in the parking lot between the Rio and the what was formerly the Home Sweet Home Cafe. I'd like to take a second to share some comments with you that I've received from the Business Oregon staff over the past couple days. If you don't know, we've been working with Business Oregon pretty closely recently in economic development efforts and relocation and recruitment. And if you're not familiar with what Business Oregon is, they are the state's economic development arm. Could be called the Department of Commerce in other states. They work with different entities all over the state. The comment that I got from them this morning and yesterday as we were working, quote, one of the best public work teams we work with, end quote, quote, a sophisticated organization, quote. We had a big day yesterday working with Business Oregon, and our staff sitting here today represented Sweet Home like true professionals. It did not happen according to the way it was supposed to happen. Our staff was thrown a couple of curveballs. Pacific Power was supposed to be here for the meeting. They didn't show up. Their representative got a flat tire, apologized profusely. Our staff was able to step in and fill in that gap and not miss a beat. So I need to give kudos to department heads that have all been involved in this process over the past couple of weeks, because department heads as well as other staff performed phenomenally. So I want to thank them publicly for that. And last, I will be out tomorrow and Friday. I'm going to go to the Sublime concert in Bend. So yeah, they're a great band.
Well, Ray, I didn't want to steal your thunder, but yeah, I attended yesterday's tour and meeting, and I have to say the city did a phenomenal job, and thank you very much for all your efforts. And you guys did a phenomenal job yesterday in putting that presentation together for our visitors. And I want kudos, Legia especially. I don't know if she's here, but she did a phenomenal job putting a lot of stuff together. So hats off to her. Again, like I said, feedback I got, especially from our visitors, it was a very good job. So it was very positive. So thank you. Department directors reports, finance director, any police, city attorney, any questions for them or vice versa?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
My report is in the packet, so unless you have questions, I don't have anything further. I do want to highlight that as of yesterday, the city received its $1,107,397.32, which is our first half of the coronavirus funds from the federal government. So that is in our accounts, ready for projects. We've obviously been over that discussion. We know where we're headed. We have information to bring back to you at future meetings, but I just wanted to let you know that it is here.
Any questions for Brandon?
Spend it while you got it.
Yes, ma'am.
So I understand that may include a generator.
we're still, we're working with engineers on what your request was as far as the water treatment plant and the emergency generator there. And we will bring back additional numbers before we move forward on that. Separately, there are plans for this building, not using the coronavirus money, but using budgeted funds to establish a generator here, given that this will act as an emergency operations center in the event of an emergency. So yes, 2 potential generators in our 12 to 18-month future, but lots of work ahead.
Would be good to turn on the lights in a disaster or pump water. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Okay.
So that money is going to be used for water mains because we have it now and the projects are ready. Is that what we voted for?
The council asked for that to be directed to 2 projects, particularly one, yes, the small diameter water mains, as well as potentially, upon further investigating, the water treatment plant emergency generators.
But the water mains is ready to go?
We are working on a small portion of that right now. Also, prior to me going on vacation a week and a half ago, we had a presentation that's kind of already been worked out about 90%. Our engineer on record is actually on vacation this week, so hopefully our next meeting, we will bring back some numbers to you regarding the emergency generator.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, City Attorney, you have anything? Anything of council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I read an article in the paper that just really made me a little bit angry, actually. And I'm going to read it to you because it really bothers me, the comments that were made from one person. And it says here, I think we just need to have a discussion on it. That's Counselor Dylan Richards. Let me be honest, it doesn't seem or feel like the council is doing anything. So, and I get it. I get people to come to me very frustrated with what's going on, and it doesn't feel like that we care as a body. I think that is seeing more and more of that. So, Counselor Richards, I want you to give me names of people of the 9,800 people in town that have come and talked to you and said, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And no, I'm talking, okay? And this is totally out of line. You're telling me that 6 people in this room, besides you, are the only ones that care. You're the one that cares.
I just said that's a feeling that is going throughout the town, Dave. I never said
That's Counselor Trask. Okay.
Counselor Trask.
Okay.
I apologize for that. But yeah, it is. We haven't done anything on COVID, have we? Besides giving our word out that we aren't enforcing the laws or the mask mandates, we have not actually done anything.
So your answer is that you're the one that's right and the other 6 people are not.
I never said that. I said that's the feeling. I never said I was wrong. I'm sure I'm on the council, so as a body, I am part of you.
Okay.
You know,
it doesn't seem like that to me, and I'm sure that other do. Anyway,
I mean, maybe.
Okay, I'm speaking, please. Just let me give it through here. I'm not done. So I also understand from some people that I trust that you don't think that we love like the Chamber of Commerce. I've heard that from several people now, and I'll give you names if you want.
There have been comments made, and I'm just like.
Well, I talked to the Chamber people, and they said that that is absolutely not true. It's not true. So somebody's lying to me. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to ask you about today, have you ever taken anything out of this building that was not proper?
A few cards, thank you cards.
Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Are you qualified to take this from this building and use it for the council stuff?
I just said thank you. They were literally thank you cards.
I'm not asking you that. Is it legal or is it right for you to come into this building and take stuff out of here without permission?
I have asked for permission every time I've gotten calls.
I don't believe that's true.
It is true.
It is not true. Ray, would you like to comment on this at all?
Not really.
Okay, that's fine. That's
But,
fine.
Council rules are very clear about counselors not able to represent the entire council without the council's approval. And for that reason, we have placed a note on the thank you notes asking counselors not to utilize them, because it could be mistaken that the fact that you're writing it on city letterhead means that you are representing the entire council. And that's the steps that we took.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'd gone to Julie. I guess I just was no one bothered to tell me that when I've asked, because it's not like I've just gone in here and got that. I've asked every time.
Anything else of council business good of order? Okay, nothing further. We will go ahead and adjourn at 8:44.